This Reddit story comes from the subreddit r/relationship advice, where a husband's life has been shattered by his wife's affair. I, 63, am married to 52F. We are both on our second marriages and have one 13-year-old daughter. She's the light of my life. My wife cheated at the beginning of our relationship 20 years ago that I attributed to monkey branching and forgave her for. 3 months ago, I became suspicious due to a myriad of small things. I could not shake the idea that she was stepping out, so I put a GPS tracker on her car. The first confrontation was full of lies and deceit, as is normally the case. I knew at that point that she was cheating, but admitted to myself that her excuse could be plausible, and let's face it, I didn't want it to be true. Another week went by, with 2 more visits to her AP, one overnight. She had used sleeping at a friend's house as an excuse. In the final confrontation, she admitted to it. She has only admitted to an emotional affair, which, of course, is difficult to believe. She claims the affair was 3 months long. I am stage 4 with prostate cancer, and the drugs I take have rendered me impotent. Between this and my wife's affair, I am literally and figuratively emasculated. I have always considered her to be my soulmate, so the betrayal hit me very hard. We went to counseling, and my wife has said most of the things you would hope for. She claims she has cut off communication with her AP. However, she has never offered transparency and continues to refuse me access to her phone. This issue was really the breaking point. I needed her to make me the priority, and she is maintaining privacy as the most important thing in her life. Not me, not our marriage. I don't want a divorce. We would have to sell the house, and this would impact our daughter too much. We can live together amicably enough, but my love for her is dying. I want to stay with her and have already forgiven her her sins, but this continuing deceit is killing off the remnants of our marriage. Please, any advice would be much appreciated. Thanks for reading. Relevant comment. It does. Until you realize you obviously love yourself more than she did. Gut-wrenching truth. But motivation to show your daughter's strength and the ability to make hard decisions for the best outcome. If she knew, she would be hurt for you. That's your little girl. Use this as a lesson in honesty, strength, and self-worth. Don't roll over. Make her proud, even if she doesn't know why until she is older. Your life isn't over. Don't spend what you do have left with her to be based on fear of change and lack of self-love. You deserve happiness. I bet she would agree. Response by Op. One of the treatments for my condition is to suppress testosterone. The side effect for me is that I can't control my emotions. I'm crying right now because a complete stranger has offered me such words of support. Comment. Hey, I'm a woman, and to me, a man who is able to fully feel his emotions, yes, including crying, is about the manliest, most awesome thing you can do. If you are upset, you have absolute permission to cry as often, hard, and loudly as you like. You can have a good life, and it doesn't have to have her in it. You mentioned splitting up would harm your daughter. Do you think that your daughter is, right now, being shown and taught that this is what a loving mutual marriage should look like? You can leave. You should leave. For both her sake and your own. You deserve better than someone who places their needs above yours 100%. Especially when they've already wounded you deeply. You can do this. Our next Reddit story comes from r/relationship advice, where a husband discovers that his wife is texting one of her single coworkers late at night. It was just another typical evening, one of those calm, quiet nights where nothing much happens. My wife and I were in our usual spots, her on the couch, me at the table, both lost in our own little worlds. I was deep into a book, enjoying the peace, when something caught my eye. It was my wife, smiling at her phone, her fingers moving quickly over the screen. She seemed happy, engaged, like she was sharing something exciting with someone. It didn't bother me at first. After all, we both have our own friends and lives outside our marriage. But then, as the days went on, I started to notice a pattern that I couldn't ignore. The texting wasn't just happening during the day anymore. She was doing it late at night, too, way past the time we'd usually be asleep. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe it was just a friend, or maybe she was catching up on work. But the more I noticed, the more uneasy I became. It was always with someone who had the same name as one of her coworkers. A single guy. That's when the nagging feeling in my gut started. I'd catch her texting in bed, her face illuminated by the dim glow of her phone, her expression focused. When she thought I was asleep, she'd keep at it, tapping away until the early hours of the morning. The minute I shifted or made a sound, she'd pause, as if she was waiting to see if I'd wake up. If I stayed still, she'd go right back to her conversation. These late-night texting sessions didn't sit right with me. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just my imagination, that there was nothing to worry about. But the more I tried to convince myself, the more the unease grew. We'd been together for 5 years before tying the knot this summer. I always thought we had a solid relationship. We've been through a lot together, built a life, a family with multiple kids. I believed we could talk about anything, work through any issue that came our way. But now, I feel like I'm slowly being edged out, like she's giving this new friend more of her attention and energy than she's giving me. The more I thought about it, the more it hurt. I couldn't help but feel like I was being cheated on, not physically, but emotionally. It's that same feeling I had years ago when I was cheated on in a past relationship, that same twisting in my gut, that same sense of betrayal. The thought that my wife could be emotionally invested in someone else shook me to my core. I wanted to believe it was all in my head, that I was overreacting. But the more I observed, the harder it became to deny that something was very wrong. I've always trusted my gut, and right now, it's screaming at me that something isn't right. But I'm at a loss. How do I even begin to address this? How do I bring it up without sounding paranoid or accusatory? I don't want to drive a wedge between us, but I can't ignore this feeling either. Every day, I feel more overwhelmed by life. The responsibilities, the kids, the daily grind, it's all piling up. And now this, it feels like too much to handle, and I'm struggling to find a way forward. When I look back on how we used to be, it feels like another lifetime. We used to laugh so much together, share everything. Now, it feels like there's this invisible wall between us, and I don't know how to break it down. I'm scared of what I might find if I do. What if she is developing feelings for this guy? What if this late-night texting is a sign of something deeper, something that could tear our family apart? The thought of losing her, of losing what we've built together, is terrifying. I don't want to believe that she could do this to us, to our family. But at the same time, I can't shake the feeling that I'm losing her, that she's slipping away from me one text at a time. I'm torn between wanting to confront her and wanting to protect what we have. I don't know if I'm ready to hear the truth, but I know I can't keep ignoring this either. The worst part is the waiting, the not knowing. Every night, I lie there pretending to be asleep, listening to the sound of her fingers tapping on the screen, wondering who she's talking to, what they're saying. I try to tell myself it's innocent, that it's just a friend. But the more I think about it, the more I start to question everything. Why does she feel the need to text him so late at night? Why is she so secretive about it? And why does she stop every time I move, as if she doesn't want me to know? I'm at a breaking point. I can't keep pretending everything is okay. I need to talk to her, but I don't know how to start the conversation. I don't want to accuse her of something she might not be doing, but I also can't ignore the signs. I'm scared of what might happen if I confront her, but I'm even more scared of what will happen if I don't. The trust that was once so strong between us feels fragile now, like it could shatter at any moment. Our kids have no idea what's going on. They see us together, and to them, we're just mom and dad. But I'm worried about how this will affect them if things go south. I don't want them to see us fighting or, worse, separating. They deserve to grow up in a happy, stable home, and I'm determined to protect that no matter what. But how can I protect our family if I don't even know what's happening in my own marriage? I keep replaying different scenarios in my head, trying to figure out the best way to approach her. Should I be direct and ask her outright who she's texting? Or should I try to ease into the conversation, Maybe ask her how things are going at work. I've thought about trying to look at her phone, but that feels like crossing a line. I don't want to invade her privacy, even though she seems to be hiding something from me. There's also the possibility that I'm wrong, that I'm misinterpreting everything. Maybe she's just stressed, and this is her way of coping. Maybe she's not cheating at all, and I'm blowing things out of proportion. But even if that's the case, there's still a problem. If she's turning to someone else instead of me, that means there's a disconnect between us that we need to address. I don't want to lose her, but I'm afraid that by bringing this up, I might push her away even further. Every time I think I've gathered the courage to talk to her, I hesitate. What if she denies it? What if she gets defensive or angry? What if she tells me it's none of my business? I know I have a right to know what's going on, but I'm terrified of the potential fallout. I don't want to start a fight, especially not in front of the kids. But I also can't keep going like this, pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. I remember the vows we made on our wedding day, the promises to love, honor, and cherish each other. Those words meant everything to me then, and they still do now. But I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one who's holding on to those promises. I can't shake the feeling that something has changed between us, that the woman I married is drifting away from me. And the worst part is, I don't know how to stop it. I've thought about reaching out to a friend for advice, but I'm embarrassed to admit what's going on. I don't want anyone to think less of her or of our marriage. We've always been the couple that others looked up to, the ones who had it all together. But now, I feel like we're on the verge of falling apart, and I don't know how to fix it. Every day, I watch her, looking for signs, clues that might tell me what's really going on. But she's good at hiding it, whatever it is. She still smiles at me, still kisses me goodnight, but it feels different, like there's something behind those smiles that I can't quite reach. It's like she's here, but not really here, like part of her is somewhere else, with someone else. The anxiety is eating me up inside. I've lost weight, I'm not sleeping well, and my concentration at work is shot. I keep going over the same thoughts, the same fears, over and over again. I don't want to believe that she could do this to me, but I can't ignore the signs. I feel like I'm stuck in a nightmare that I can't wake up from, and I don't know how to escape. I wish I could turn back time to when things were simpler, when we were happy and secure in our relationship. But I know that's not possible. What's done is done, and now I have to figure out how to move forward. But every option feels like a lose-lose situation. If I confront her, I risk causing a rift between us that might never heal. But if I don't, I'll keep sinking deeper into this pit of despair and suspicion. I've been trying to find the right moment to talk to her, but it never seems to come. There's always something. She's busy with the kids, or she's tired, or we're both caught up in the daily grind. But the longer I wait, the worse it gets. I know I can't keep putting this off, but the thought of finally facing it head-on is paralyzing. I've been thinking about what I'll say when the time comes. I want to be calm, rational, but I'm so full of emotion that I don't know if I can keep it together. I don't want to accuse her of anything, but I need answers. I need to know if there's something going on, or if it's all in my head. I need to know if our marriage is still as strong as I believed it was, or if it's starting to crumble. In the end, I think what I'm most afraid of is the truth. What if she does have feelings for this coworker? What if she's already emotionally invested in him, and there's no coming back from it? The thought of losing her to someone else is unbearable, but so is the thought of living in this limbo, not knowing where we stand. I know I can't keep living like this. Something has to change. I have to find the courage to talk to her, to find out what's really going on. But as I lie here, listening to the faint sound of her texting in the dark, I'm filled with a sense of dread. I'm scared of what I might find, but even more scared of what will happen if I never find out. Advice to OP. In situations like this, it's important to approach things with care and thoughtfulness. Your feelings are valid, and it's clear that the situation is causing you a lot of pain and confusion. The first step is to gather your thoughts and figure out what exactly you're hoping to achieve from a conversation with your wife. Do you want to understand her behavior better, or are you seeking reassurance that your relationship is still strong? When you do decide to talk to her, try to choose a time when you're both calm and can have a private conversation without distractions. Approach the discussion from a place of concern rather than accusation. You might start by expressing how much you value your relationship and how you've noticed changes that are making you feel uneasy. It's important to focus on how her actions are affecting you rather than jumping to conclusions about her intentions. Try to stay open to what she has to say, even if it's difficult. There could be reasons for her behavior that you haven't considered. Perhaps she's dealing with stress, loneliness, or something else entirely. The key is to listen to her perspective, while also making it clear how her late-night texting is making you feel. At the same time, it's essential to set boundaries and express your needs. If her texting with this coworker is making you uncomfortable, it's okay to let her know that. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, trust, and communication, and both of you should feel secure and valued in your partnership. If the conversation doesn't go as planned, or if you feel that you're not getting the answers or reassurance you need, consider seeking the help of a therapist or counselor. Sometimes, having a neutral third party can help facilitate difficult conversations and provide both of you with tools to navigate this challenging time. Remember that you're not alone in this. Many couples face similar issues, and with patience, understanding, and honest communication, you can work through this together. The goal is to strengthen your relationship, rebuild trust, and ensure that both of you feel loved and supported in your marriage.